Drinking, Neil.
I'm drinking a Prize, which is it's a Midwestern beer. I don't know if it's Minnesotan. Prize Miraculum.
So what do you do? Where do you get these from? Like, since you don't know what it is, like really.
Oh, it is Minnesotan. Okay.
You just go and go to the store and pick stuff that you think might be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this before at bars. Like it's a common beer in bars, but like I just wasn't sure if it was imported from somewhere else in the Midwest or actually made in Minnesota.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Stochastic.com NFL live before lock. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. I told Neil I'm going to do this for every Showdown slate now because I think it looks neat.
It's super cool, I think.
Thanks, man. Yeah, just a little screen mirror action. Happy to have you guys with us. As always, we got a lot to get into today. Neil said it before we even discussed this, before the show started. He's like, nobody's priced down. And yeah, especially given that there were guys that might not play. So instead of kind of pricing everybody down to fit that, they priced everybody up as a result. Now, it's still possible to build some good lineups, but this game, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, without question, you can't just jam players like we had for, that was Monday's 2-game slate, right? Where we could play anybody we wanted.
Yeah. So I didn't do the 2-game show with you on Monday. You did that with Lindy, but I think that was essentially true on Monday.
Yes. It was because all the running backs were cheap and like tight ends were all terrible. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, no, I remember because I listened to your show with Gajeski in the morning on the 2-game slate, and you guys talked about that. That's right.
Yeah. Happy you guys are here, though. Let's have ourselves a show. Get you prep ready for this one. Yeah, a lot to get into, but that's why we're here. So hopefully we can help, and hopefully some of you guys can take something big down. Maybe one of us even. That would be nice. Before we get into anything, though, just a humble request here. Take a single second, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. That's all. Atone for your sins on a Thursday night. Neil, I'll ask you. 500 likes?
What are we at now? 120? We're not even close to 500. No way we get there.
You scumbag. We'll get there.
I tell it like it is, Lofty. We're not getting there.
All right, I hear you. You don't trust the people.
I don't think they can do it.
That's okay. Dude, I tell you what, all the times they've done it, still haven't earned your trust.
No. I mean, it's a new audience every show, Lofty. I know that the last audience did it, but that doesn't mean this audience can do it.
That's true. We appreciate you guys who do support the show, though. It goes a long way for us. I mean that. He's Neil Orfield at Player Q DFS. I'm Dave Loughran at Lofty_D on the Twitter. I might go back to Twitter. I don't like saying X.
Oh, wow. You're back on the Twitter gang. All right.
I really tried.
If you're not going to go with the X, then I'm not going with the X. You were kind of selling me on it, but if you're abandoning ship, I'm ready. I'm ready to jump off.
I really tried too. You saw, like I
know
tried
you did.
hard.
Yeah.
I went into the settings yesterday, by the way. I customized my entire Twitter. I had no idea you could do that. And then you can go in and see your interests that they think you're interested in. There were like 4,000 of them for me. I had to go in and check stuff off, like uncheck it. One was like fashion news.
I saw your post about that, and then I went. It made me curious, so I went to see what mine were, and I was like, "There's too many." It was mostly just like every single athlete on the planet's name.
I had Luis Scola in there. Luis Scola.
When was the last time Luis Scola played in NBA?
I don't know. Like, I'm not looking for news. I also had explosions in Beirut, which, for what it's worth, was a pretty big interest when it happened. That was
sure. Yeah, they got you. They got you right.
Anyway, let's dive into this one. We've got the Lions. Check this out. So 1.5 point. This line has bounced around, but I just recently had seen this moving. It hasn't moved to 3, so I don't want to make any crazy assumptions here. But this was 1.5 minus 110 this morning when I did the show over on our Odd Shopper channel. Follow that if you're not. We'd love to have you guys check out our betting content on DraftKings. Now it's minus 2.5, minus 115 to the Lions. So I don't know. Looking like something's coming in on the Lions late before this game starts. Kind of interesting. But as far as injuries go, like David Montgomery, Tom Pelissero had said that he wasn't going to play, but it was a miscommunication. Turns out during the show, while we're doing the show this morning, that he is in fact active. Aaron Jones Chris is going to play. Christian Watson making his debut. So there's that. But Elgin Jenkins is out. Bakhtiari just got put on the IR. So they're down linemen. They They got Zach Tom at right tackle starting, but he's a backup and he's not particularly good. But Jair Alexander's missing another game. So they've got, both teams have a couple spots they're missing, but Detroit, Green Bay's pretty banged up tonight.
They sure are. Yeah. I mean, not the fantasy players. The fantasy players are all back and ready to go tonight.
Yeah, but,
it's just
but
the
some
rest
of these
of the team
guys
is all
can
banged
benefit
up.
from that.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. It'll be an interesting slate to talk about because all of the relevant players are, as you said, they're all healthy now. They're all playing. They're all priced up, or healthy enough that they're at least active. I guess we don't know necessarily how healthy they are, how much they're going to be ready to go, how many snaps, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, Dave Montgomery can take here. I think they're all going to play a significant amount, but we don't know for sure. So it's an interesting slate. It is, if I'm being honest, it's not my favorite slate because it's not at all straightforward to me. It's especially if you want to like leave salary on the table and try to get unique. It's a tough slate to get unique because nobody's priced down. Like the cheapest player that I actually like kind of want to play is Marvin Jones at 2,000, and I don't really want to play Marvin Jones. So yeah, it'll be interesting to talk about this slate because I don't love it. I kind of think it's going to end up being a dupe, like 10,000 train at the top, but we can hope for the best, make the best lineups we can.
You think it's going to be a monster dupe night?
I'm kind of worried about it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like,
what makes you worried about it? Like, how do you get away from that?
So, I mean, so the biggest way to like not be duplicated a lot is to leave significant salary on the table. And this, like, we just don't have really many cheap options. Like we've got both quarterbacks are relatively expensive. The running backs you want to play, I mean, Aaron Jones is 10,800. I guess we have, David Montgomery is like sort of at a discount. So I guess 6,800 David Montgomery helps a little bit, but like he's not super cheap. You look at wide receivers, we've got Amon-Ra at 11,600. And Christian Watson, I guess Christian Watson at 8,200 is fair. So, we've got some fair prices, but it's not like they're cheap. And even like Romeo Doubs. So like somebody who, maybe a wide receiver 2 you want to attack, he's 8,800. Jaden Reed is 5,600. We just don't have that many players that like, Dontavion Wicks would be a guy who I would have more interest if he were like 400. Cause like we're all, I think, working under the assumption Dontavion Wicks probably not going to get a ton of snaps here with Christian Watson back. Christian Watson probably just takes that role from Dontavion Wicks or for the most part. But then, I would want to gamble on, okay, well then maybe take some shots on Dontavion Wicks, hopefully, assuming that Christian Watson's not going to play the full game, but Dontavion Wicks is 5,000. So like they didn't really give us any like meat left on the bone for any of these players.
Raymond is another one that's not particularly cheap. Like all those.
Josh
That's
Reynolds.
a good point.
Yeah.
No, you're right. When you don't have that ability to get salary relief and still make a lineup that seems decent, it's tough. You're right.
Yeah.
If this was a main slate, we could talk about combinatorial ownership. Neil.
That's true. That is true. You're loving that word now, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were. It's funny. Eric and I were doing the matchup show today, and people were talking about it in chat. So I asked him if he knew what it meant. I was like, I felt dumb when I had to ask Neil the other day, but fortunately, Eric didn't know either.
Okay, good. So you don't have to feel stupid. I mean, it's just the word itself. So I used to do the Theory of DFS show with Blender, and it was a word that he started using, and I felt the same way. I was like, I've never heard this word before in my life. It's very straightforward though. Like after I described to you what it is, like, yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Well, let's dive into this. We're at 300 likes. I told you we'll get there.
That's still 200 shy.
But there's 1,600 people here. I mean, you would think our ratio could just skyrocket. We'll see. We'll see if people feel like being kind. So we'll start a quarterback. We always work our way through this. Sometimes we get a little off topic, but it's going to benefit you guys because if we get into game theory and just overall strategy, then that's what we're here to do. So at quarterback, our tools earlier this morning, just looking at the top single game and top showdown plays tool, where you have like the likelihood that they're going to be the top overall play, that they're going to be the optimal captain, optimal utility. Those of you guys that have subs on the site know what I'm talking about. If not, tell you how to get it for free in a little bit. But you can see the leverage score and all that stuff right now, and not much has changed. And we just got an update. Jared Goff and Jordan Love, very similar top play probability. 15% to Jared Goff, 13.2 to Love. Optimal captain, 10% to Goff, 8% to Love. You look at utility ownership and captain ownership, they're almost identical. So Goff on paper, on the tools, does grade out as a better play, but in reality, they're pretty damn close.
Yeah, they're really damn close. To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised to see how well Goff grades out, because to me it's like, well, Jordan Love has more rushing upside. He's 600 less expensive. I guess Goff has the better receiving weapons. I think, I don't even know if that's true.
Well, he's
Like,
also just better.
yeah, that is fair. Jared Goff is probably better, but he's also like significantly better at home throughout his career. And it's like throughout his entire career, he's been much better at home. Now he's playing in Green Bay, so it's not like a friendly place for Jared Goff to go and play. At the end of the day, I'm going to trust our single game tool largely. We have Goff projected for 9% captain ownership, 10% chance to be an optimal, 47% util ownership, 49% chance to be an optimal. So we've got the more positive leverage on Jared Goff. If you play Goff, I'm always pairing him with at least one pass catcher. If you've got him in the captain spot, I'm pairing him with at least two pass catchers on DraftKings, because he does not run like at all, like less than 5 yards per game on the ground last year, one total rushing touchdown all of last year. I don't know. There's a lot of holes in the Goff play. Like, I'm not excited to play Goff here, but it is a single game slate. He's a quarterback, and he's, as you said, he is the better quarterback, better offense here. So yeah, I'm gonna be playing a good amount of Goff. Hopefully people are gonna shy away because of the home road splits going against Goff here. And it is pretty significant, to be honest, throughout his career. But I think that, in a single game, you can just hope for the best from Goff. I don't know that it's necessarily something you can project that is really all that predictive going forward. So I'll be playing a good amount of Goff. I'll be playing a good amount of Love also. I don't think I'm getting too far away from the field here, just looking at where we have the ownership coming in. Like, I'm not jamming these guys in 100% of my lineups. It's not like a Jalen Hurts slate where sometimes I might have 100% of some quarterbacks. It's not that kind of slate for me, but I'm going to have probably 70% ish of each of these guys.
Don't you think it's also entirely possible, though, if you wanted to have a, Montgomery Laporta or Montgomery St. Brown lineup without Goff? Because if you want it, Gibbs, fine. But what's interesting to me about Montgomery is that he is actually one of the few players on this slate from a salary perspective. I feel like Montgomery's one of the few guys that you could actually argue is underpriced, where everybody else seems overpriced. Maybe you disagree, and I understand that Montgomery, maybe he's not at full strength. I mean, I'm not sure why they'd bring him back on a short week, because they're going to after this game, they got how long to rest him up if he really couldn't play, right?
No, yeah.
Like 4 days or 3 days off, then you're on Thursday. After today, you don't have a game again. I'm just assume they're playing next Sunday. You don't have a game again for 11 days. I think he's probably going to be fine. And if he still is like the Jamal Williams role, which we know to some extent he is, and he should be the goal line back, he might fall into the end zone twice. Amon-Ra St. Brown could be the only passing touchdown from Jared Goff today, and then things actually look pretty good for you.
Yeah, no, I think Montgomery is probably one of the top plays on the slate today. Like, again, he's not like super cheap. He is 6,800, but he is, I agree with you, too cheap for his role in this offense. I think they even came out and said that Montgomery is going to be the lead back once again, which is what you would expect. But it sounds like he is ready to go get his full workload. He's had, in the games that he's played with Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery has been the guy. Gibbs has been mostly just secondary for this Detroit Lions team. He's also out there on passing downs because he's a better pass blocker than Jahmyr Gibbs, which was a bit of a surprise to me coming into the year. I thought Gibbs would just be out there because he's such a great receiving threat, but Montgomery has been the guy even out there on passing downs for the Lions. So yeah, Montgomery probably going to lead the team in carries. He'll get some action in the passing game as well. 6,800. He is going to get ownership. We've got him projected for 38%. Let me see if that's updated. So 11% captain ownership, 50% overall. So 39% util ownership, 11% captain ownership going to Montgomery. That's under owned to us though in the single game tool. We have him in the captain optimal 11.2% of the time, util optimal 44% of the time. So we actually have some positive leverage on David Montgomery. I think that he's one of the better salary relief options on the slate, which is weird to say because he's 6,800, which is not really that cheap.
A lot of Arby's talk in chat.
Arby's, huh?
Benny, I'm with you. I've only ever gotten roast beef sandwiches from Arby's. They're delicious. Double roast beef and cheddar, double beef and cheddar with some curly fries. Never had the gyros. But
never had.
What is our ownership on Montgomery right now? 39 util. Wow, he's really popular.
Yeah, 50%. And honestly, I think he should be. Like he has the role. He has, I wouldn't say he's particularly skilled. Like I think Gibbs definitely looks more explosive than Montgomery, but as you said, like it's similar to Jamal Williams last year. Like he's kind of your average veteran plotting kind of running back who's just getting enough work that he's worth playing at 6,800, and certainly could fall into the end zone once, could fall into the end zone twice. Wouldn't be all that shocking.
No, it wouldn't. And listen, when it comes to Montgomery, yeah, the reason he's getting a lot of ownership, again, I'll go back to it. Look at the prices on some of these other guys. Well, this will come back to bite me because I've been saying for weeks now that AJ Dillon stinks. But would you rather play a 7K AJ Dillon or a $6,800 Montgomery? Like, I mean, I know you'll probably still have some Dillon in there, and I wouldn't blame you for it. But he's at least without Aaron Jones in the lineup, he's looked terrible. Now, could he fall into the end zone? Certainly. But they have a weird split in that backfield. It's not like Aaron Jones doesn't get any goal line carries. Maybe Gibbs will too. I don't know. We haven't really seen enough goal line carries for either of these teams to get a good impression of what's going on. But I think that David Montgomery ownership is so high because, as you pointed out at the top of the show, the price tags on some of these guys are truly outrageous. Josh Reynolds is essentially the same price as David Montgomery.
Yeah, no, it's not great. Yeah, I'm looking at the target share for David Montgomery, very low, 1.4% target share so far this year. So maybe we can't really count on anything through the air from David Montgomery. One total target on the season. He's only played 2 games. But so from that perspective, even though he is out there on a lot of passing plays, Jahmyr Gibbs does have the 12 targets on the year. So maybe, I said earlier that we could maybe get a couple targets, but just one so far through 2 games on the season. So that is hurting him a little bit. But yeah, just at that price tag. And to answer your question about Montgomery versus Dillon. Yeah, I'm definitely like Dave Montgomery is clearly the better like projectable play. AJ Dillon, as you said, could get there just like on a touchdown at the goal line or something. But I'm with you. He doesn't look good. He didn't look good last year. To be honest, I feel like going into last year, my impression of AJ Dillon was if he gets the work, he's going to be great because he's so strong. He can catch. Like I thought the upside was so high for AJ Dillon, and then watched him last year. I was like, this guy is not who I thought he was when he had opportunities. He just didn't look good. And this year, same thing. I don't think he's as talented as I thought he was a couple of years ago.
His rookie season, he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked strong. He looked like a good goal line back with also pass catching abilities, which is like, what you want.
Yeah. Dude has monster legs.
Yeah. Like Quadzilla. That's his nickname. Quadzilla.
Yep. Quadzilla. He's got he should be super powerful, but it just hasn't been there. I don't know. No. While we're talking running backs, though, let's get through a couple of these other guys. How do you square the price point on Jahmyr Gibbs now that David Montgomery is expected to play? Because he is getting, basically half the ownership at captain of someone like Montgomery. But then at the same time, Aaron Jones is getting 7% ownership at captain. Montgomery's getting 11. Aaron Jones ownership right now is essentially neck and neck with Jahmyr Gibbs. The only difference is that Jahmyr Gibbs is cheaper, but you can say what you want about how good Gibbs is going to be in the future and how he's looked. And I know he's had, that week 1 game against the Chiefs, he looked awesome, but let's not get twisted here. Let's not get ahead of our skis, Neil. Aaron Jones, when he's healthy, let's assume he is, he's one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love Aaron Jones here. He's also 1,200 more expensive. So there is that. If they were the exact same price,
that's why
coming in. Yeah. So that is the reason for the ownership. But I'm with like Jahmyr Gibbs. He looked so explosive in that first game. Didn't really get much going in the last game when you would have hoped he would with Montgomery out. I don't know. Like, I just don't think the role is there to justify this $9,600 price tag. And I think so we haven't projected for 24% ownership. What do we have, Matt, overall? We have Gibbs at captain 6.5%, util 23.5. So 30% overall ownership for Jahmyr Gibbs. He just doesn't have that great of a role. And I think the ownership will be there because people have watched him. Everybody watched that first game, right? I think it was the first game of the season, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, it was the first game of the season. So everybody watched that game. Everybody saw how electric he was. I think a lot of people are going to click it just because it's like, I want that guy on my fantasy. Like I want to have the out of an 80-yard reception or something for this running back. And I think the role is just not really there for Jahmyr Gibbs. He still has fewer carries on the year than David Montgomery. Even after Montgomery missed a game, he has 12 targets on the year. So that is not nothing. That's 4 per game, but like it's not enough to offset how little usage he gets on the ground. So yeah, I don't know. That's it's a tough price tag for Jahmyr Gibbs. Can certainly get there. He does, as we said, he looks explosive. He looks like the kind of guy who could bust off a 70-yard run, a 70-yard reception, whatever. So he has that going for him. He does have that, but like if the field is going to be there at 30%, I'm going to be underweight there.
I think I'm with you. What's that?
I'm not sure what I'm doing. Like Aaron Jones, we've got at, what do we have? I guess let me look at the updated info here. We've got Aaron Jones at 7.6% captain, 25.4% util. So a little bit higher ownership, but like Aaron Jones also has, it doesn't have like really the 70-yard, I don't think, in his bag necessarily, but he has a little bit of explosiveness in his game. Certainly can rip off some pretty long runs, and should have like just a more pronounced role. Like he can get the goal line work a lot. Sometimes they bring in AJ Dillon, but Aaron Jones, they sometimes use the goal line. I don't know. It feels much safer to me, but I guess we do have that injury concern. We don't know for sure that he's going to have his usual workload.
That is a great idea. Where was that? Where would that come from? It's some fucking asshole spamming in chat, some bot. Corey said right before the show's over, Laffy has to make his pick like a gender reveal and shut off one of the TVs. That's a good idea, man.
Oh, I like that.
I might do that for my betting videos, honestly.
Yeah, every video.
Like, who are we going with today? And then the one that's still up on the screen would be that. Corey, that's solid, man. That's solid.
I like it.
I'll give you credit for that idea if it ever takes me anywhere. All right. What running backs haven't we touched on yet? I do want to spend one more second on Jones because I think you made some good points there, but also Sean had mentioned that the Lions run defense has been good. They actually have. They just held the Falcons to 44 yards on 20 carries, which is pretty wild. They're a lot better on run defense than they were a season ago by far.
5th in run DVOA so far this year.
What's that?
They're 5th so far this year in run DVOA.
Who's number 1?
Good question. I don't have that pulled up.
It's unimportant. I was just curious. But there's the element of pass catching upside that you mentioned for Aaron Jones. That guy can take anything to the house, and that's why I love it. Montgomery is different in that he's cheaper, but he's also capable of giving you 2 touchdowns from inside the 5. And I like that as well. So if I were to rank these 4 today, it would be, honestly, I think I'm going Montgomery, Jones, Gibbs, Dillon. What about you? Maybe I'd put Dillon ahead of Gibbs for touchdown equity, but I'm still not sure I can do that. Gibbs is just better, more explosive, and he's not that popular.
I think it's the exact same order for me. Like it's definitely Montgomery, Jones, number 1. And as you said, like it is there, you can make an argument for AJ Dillon, but like Gibbs clearly has the more explosive game, a little bit more upside there. Maybe I put Dillon ahead of Gibbs just because of the price difference. And I feel like the likelihood of Dillon scoring a short touchdown is greater than Gibbs scoring a long enough touchdown to pay off that price tag. But it's close. It's close between those 2.
Are there any other running backs that are worthwhile for you today? Look, if this was last week with these 2 teams, we'd be talking about Taylor and Reynolds and all of that stuff. But now that this backfield is, healthy as they can be, right? They're going to be on the field.
Right.
And both of them, by the way, this isn't even like here's the difference. Cleveland, Jerome Ford was the clear backup. They had a bell cow and then they had Jerome Ford. Jamal Williams was the clear guy, and at the time, Tony Jones was the backup with Kamara out and Kendre Miller out. There are some spots like that. Tonight, if one of those guys goes down, the other part of that timeshare just goes and gets all the work.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I'm playing any other run. No, I can say I'm not playing any other running backs. If I were to play another running back, I suppose it would be Craig Reynolds. We have Bam Knight is out, so I guess Craig Reynolds is the clear 3rd string there. So if you think David Montgomery might be still banged up, but he is 2,800. Like I don't know. I'm only playing the main 4 here.
Man, I do like this Detroit defense quite a bit too, though.
Yeah, me too. It's good.
that Packers offensive line is damaged. You know, they're beat up a little bit. They have been with Jenkins and Bakhtiari, but they haven't really faced good pass rushes. You got to go up against Aiden Hutchinson. This is a team that just sacked Desmond Ridder 7 times in that last game.
I didn't see that, man. 7 times.
Yeah, they got him. The Bills got Sam Howell 9 times last week.
Did they? I mean, I saw they put up like 33 fantasy points. I didn't realize there was 9 sacks in there.
He's been sacked 19 times on the season. Nobody else has been sacked more than 13.
He was getting some hype. Like late in the summer, people were really talking about Sam Howell, and it has not worked out at all.
Yeah, you want to talk about Sam Howell raising the desk for someone, it would be Adam Scher.
Oh, is he a big, I suppose. Yeah, he's a big Commanders fan.
Yeah, he bought into the hype.
Yeah.
Silly man.
R.I.P. Adam. And all of his Cole Turner best ball shares.
Does he have those?
He does. He was big on Cole. I don't know how many. I know that he liked Cole Turner.
It is true. I would always see his lineups and it would be like Howell and then some combination of Terry McLaurin,
Jahan
Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson. Yeah. Yep. Who knows? Maybe they turn it around. Well,
possible.
Should we move on to wide receivers?
Sure.
We're making good time here. And then once we get through the positions, let's actually get into builds, like how we're going to build these lineups out.
Okay.
I think we're giving ourselves a lot of time to do that. We got 2,400 people with us. We're at 802 likes, Neil.
No way we get to 1,000 though.
We're not. We're at 488. I was just,
all right, really?
That'd be great.
that would have been crazy. All right. You actually, I believed you. I'm like, I don't remember what the number was we were shooting for. We were shooting for 500, right? That was your number.
No, what would have been crazy is you sticking to the bit no matter how high we got.
Like it's gonna come down.
No way we get to 4,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So wide receivers. Let's talk about it. Oh, before we do, guys, I told you I was going to give you the keys to the castle, right? Get the free week of all of our tools. I've had so many DMs about this today, so I'm going to do it in a better way of explaining this. Even though it's not really my fault, it's the way things are set up, but I'll take responsibility for the time being. You want all of our tools. You want the lineup simulator, the lineup generator, all like the brand new lineup simulator. The tool is amazing, man. For FanDuel, DraftKings, Owner's Box, everything. Ownership projections, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool, top single game and showdown plays tool with all the simulations within that that we use every single day on the show. The boom bust tool, premium Discord. I'm forgetting stuff. I'm sure everything. You no longer have to get an add-on for this and this. Everything in the package for NFL is included right here for free 100% of the time when you sign up on Owner's Box using the link in the description or the link in the chat that Jordan can throw in there right now. Here's what you do. You sign up, you deposit a minimum of $10, okay? Now go look at the weekly cost of these packages that we've got. You're getting this for free, massive bargain, but also you're getting all of our tools that you can try out for free. And you've got all of these slates to take advantage of, even Sunday morning showdown in London between the Falcons and the Jags. So much going on this week. Deposit $10. Now they have up to a $500 first match deposit bonus. So if you have the means, don't limit yourself at $10 because they have that. They have massive overlay. Last week, it was like 25, 30% overlay in a contest that was paying $35,000 to first place. The showdown contests are overlaying, and they've got Superflex contests, which means that you don't have to draft a defense. In the Superflex, you can actually draft another quarterback, do some awesome game stacks, plenty of different ways to get different there in a format that is yet to be found out, that is yet to be solved. 35K up top this week. Tonight starts in 27 minutes, 72% filled in the 30K stiff arm. There's another one, everyone wins special, 53% filled right now. That goes off in 27 minutes. The red zone, 26 minutes. 58% filled. I'm telling you guys, like these things have been overlaying like crazy, especially the main slate. The overlay, the dead money in there is huge. The deposit bonus, all of our tools, we have Owner's Box, the simulation, the ownership, player projection, all that stuff. We have Owner's Box built into that as well to help you out. You want to get in on that, link in the description and in the chat. They'll ask you for a promo code. Here's where I got to be specific, Neil. They'll ask you for a promo code. You don't need a promo code if you use this link. We'll find you with the link. All the promo code of the link does is so we know, so when you when we email you, we can give you the free link or the free week. So you don't need a promo if you use the link. Hopefully that helps. It's an awesome deal that we've got going on, and they've got some huge contests that are overlaying like crazy right now, and a $500 first match deposit bonus. So jump in, guys, if you're not there yet. We won't be doing this one forever. All right, wide receivers. I wish I could just toss this off to you because this spot off to you because it's a mess, man. Like,
Sure is.
We'll start on the Detroit side. I think that's fair. And I honestly, you know what? Let's mix in tight ends as well, because it's not like there's any positional restrictions. And Sam Laporta has the second highest target share on the Lions right now. But with Jair Alexander out specifically, I would have liked him already. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks fantastic tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a clearly like one of the top options, one of the top stud. I think he's the highest projected player on the entire slate for us, which makes sense. He's just a target monster for the Lions. Yeah, I'm gonna love Amon-Ra. He's got 27.2% target share so far on the year. That's really strong. Highest on the team by 6%. Route participation, he's running routes on 85% of dropbacks. Hard not to love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Looking at his expected fantasy points per game so far this year, 17.2. That is massive, way more than the next best on the Lions is actually Dave Montgomery at 12.2. Amon-Ra is going to get the ownership. He should get the ownership. Pulling up the single game tool, we have him slightly overowned. So that's the one knock on Amon-Ra. We've got him at 13.4% captain ownership, 10% chance of being optimal in the captain, 43% util ownership, 42% chance of being optimal. So slight negative leverage, which I think just comes down to the price tag. Like, he is by far the most expensive player, not by far, by 800. He's the most expensive player on the slate. And it's a slate where pricing is a real issue. Like, we don't have great cheap options. So it's going to push him out of the optimal lineup a good amount of the time, just because it's hard. It's hard to pay up for Amon-Ra unless he's not going to pay off unless he really goes off relative to the rest of the field. So I'm going to get there a good amount, not as much as I would like to. I would like to have Amon-Ra in every single one of my lineups. I'm not going to have that, but I'm going to have a good amount of Amon-Ra, currently around 50% of my lineups, which is kind of in line with what the single game tool would say he should be. So I'm happy with that amount of Amon-Ra. Yeah, he looks great.
I just want to answer this question real quick for one of our subs. Where I wish I could find it. Chat's moving too quick. Oh yeah, okay. So I don't know how to pronounce your name, but for the simulator, should I play the highest ROI for big tourneys, the highest projected, or the highest win rate? Yeah, I mean, I play the highest simmed ROI. If you're only playing a couple lineups, though, you can look through the ones with the highest simmed ROI and pick the ones you like the most. You can boost ROI on certain players or deboost them. Main slate, you can do that with stacks. I always say, Neil, look at all the videos that Greg did and the ones that he did with Steve. We have so many videos on how to like fine tune and tweak the lineup simulator for yourselves and kind of customize it to the way you like.
Yeah, that's great advice. Go check out those videos with Greg and Steve. I know they did a combo video at one point. I'm with you. I would typically, if I'm playing one or two lineups, I'm probably playing the highest simmed ROI. Like that is the column that I care the most about. For me, if I'm playing 150 lineups, I wouldn't just play the top 150 if they all look too similar. Like, you want to diversify your lineups a little bit. So it might not be just straight up the top 150, but if you're only playing a few lineups, I think that it's totally viable to just go for the top ROI lineups there.
Don Smith, welcome to Team Stochastic, man. He's a member here. And Chris Williams, as always, by the way, you guys can join, get the free super chats, custom emojis, the sweet badges, all that good stuff down below that thumbs up. But Chris Williams gifted 5 Stochastic memberships here. Appreciate you, man. And 5 more, it looks like. Sotex, member for 16 months using that free super chat. Not a football guy, but 2 of the best right here. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for hanging out, even though you're not a football guy. And Eddie with a super chat. 1 lineup on DraftKings, GPP. Here's a cool question, Neil. 1 lineup, GPP. He didn't say if it's single entry or not, or what the field size is. Best captain. So who's your favorite captain if you're playing 1 lineup tonight? Let's just assume it's a decent size.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that it's like the largest field GPP. So looking at our top optimal captains, David Montgomery is our top optimal captain 11.2% of the time. We actually have him slightly underowned. So he would certainly be in consideration for me. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that I prefer who would be a little bit cheaper, allow you to maybe leave a little salary on the table. I don't hate either Jaden Reed or Luke Musgrave. I think are definitely interesting captain options that are coming in at very low ownership. Sub 4% for Luke Musgrave, 5% for Jaden Reed. So if you want to go for somebody who is kind of off the beaten path, I think that I might lean Luke Musgrave. Like he's been so close to breaking slates back-to-back weeks. So I think 6,400 Luke Musgrave, you put him into the captain, I guess he would be what, 9,600. I think I think he's an interesting play at low ownership in the captain spot.
That's funny, man. When Matt and I built that lineup out today, we switch off each show who goes first and throwing the captain in. He went Luke Musgrave.
Oh, nice. I actually didn't catch it this morning.
Yeah. He went old Musgrave. So there you go. Great minds think alike. Now let's hope that we can get there, because that'd be massive. That'd be huge. I mean, he's no Sam Laporta, but
I feel like if he had just connected on a couple, like he had one play where he was going to be wide open down the sideline and he like slipped and didn't catch it. I feel like he's just like a couple plays away from like talking about him in the same breath as Sam Laporta. Like probably not quite there, but like close to it.
Oh, for sure. I'm just, I'm riding high on the Sam Laporta hype.
Sammy Ballgame. Oh yeah, well you called it last week, so you got to write it out after you said it was Sammy Ballgame's time. I don't know if that's what you call him, but you said it was Laporta's time last week, and then he went off. So you got to ride that high.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is.
Do you like him today at his price point? He does have the target share for the Detroit Lions this year. I threw a tweet out today that was just talking about. I was talking about like what teams have the most concentrated target share between two players, right? Like from a stacking perspective, how many of these guys, what's their pass play percentage, and how often are they targeting like two specific guys? This team is up there as one of the most concentrated teams between two players this year, because Marvin Jones hasn't been targeted in 2 games, right? After that first game, that was a disaster, hasn't been targeted. Josh Reynolds gets a little. Khalif Raymond from time to time, a couple deep balls here and there. But St. Brown has a 29.2% target share. Sam Laporta is at 23% as a rookie tight end on this offense. That's pretty astounding.
So I have both of those, the source that I'm using. So I'm using the Fantasy Points data suite. Both those numbers slightly lower, but I think that they do their data a little different where they don't include throwaway. So it would be different across the board here. But yeah, they have Amon-Ra at 27%, Laporta at 21%, and then a drop down, Jahmyr Gibbs and Josh Reynolds tied for third in target share at 11.7%. So like nearly a 10% drop off after Laporta. It's very concentrated to those two.
So here's what they're doing is, you said Reynolds is at 11.
Yep.
Didn't Reynolds miss a game?
He hasn't missed a game, but he was just like didn't do anything the last game.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what it was. He was questionable. So I wonder if he just wasn't full strength. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, this is a spot where I think Sam Laporta could again have I like Amon-Ra St. Brown the most. Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds to me are always going to be viable because of deeper opportunities. But I was definitely surprised when I pulled this up today. I went over just to see deep ball attempts on the season, passes that travel 20 plus yards downfield. Yep. And Jordan Love. So Mac Jones is first in deep ball attempts, by the way. Mac Jones. Then Derek Carr, that's no surprise. He loves to sling it. Justin Herbert, no surprise. Jordan Love is fourth with 16 deep attempts through 3 games. Now, the problem, Neil, he's completed 3 of them with 0 touchdowns and 1 interception, but he has attempted 16 deep balls on the season, and Christian Watson returns today.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your favorite receivers.
Okay. So I'll start on the Detroit side. It's clearly Amon-Ra number 1. Laporta, we talked about already. Like he's too expensive, but like, is he? Like, I don't even know if he is. Like he's got for a 1-game slate, like he gets so much volume. Talking about the target share, that seems about right for Laporta. Josh Reynolds, looked good early on. I'm going to throw out the 1 game where he was really bad. He's 6,200, very viable. We've got him around 18% ownership in the flex. So I do like Josh Reynolds. Khalif Raymond, they're not using Khalif Raymond as much as I thought that they would. Like some of his underlying metrics are like really good for Khalif Raymond. Like I think he's actually a good receiver, but they have not really used him as much as I may have hoped. I think that he is in play though. So Amon-Ra number 1, Josh Reynolds number 2. After those 2, it gets a little bit murky. Probably Khalif Raymond number 3 for me from Detroit. Marvin Jones is a guy that I'm playing just because of the differentiation factor. Like because we don't have any great value options, he is like the cheapest guy that I'm like sort of comfortable playing. Like Marvin Jones, he's going to run some routes. Looking at the route share. What we have, he's run. He has 5 targets on the year, 48 routes run, 45% route participation. So he's running routes pretty regularly. Like he's out there enough that like he could make an impact, but man, as you said, he just hasn't been targeted the past 2 games. I actually hadn't seen that. Is that right? He hasn't been targeted the past 2 games. That hurts a little bit.
Correct.
My
He had
Marvin
6
Jones
in game 1 and then was just
Oh, that's
terrible.
right. That was disaster. I forgot about the
Remember, he
disastrous
was
game 1.
terrible and then just hasn't been targeted since. But you know what's crazy about that is that when you look at, you would honestly have to see that be like, oh, well, I guess he's just not getting on the field. That's actually not true because he was on the field for 52% and 41% in the last 2 games, but just getting not Josh Reynolds was on the field 77% of the time last week as well. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. I think Marvin Jones, maybe one of them turned into an interception too, like bounced off his hands and they intercepted. If I'm remembering right, the Chiefs intercepted one of his. Yeah, has not been pretty for Marvin Jones, but you got to play somebody, and I think he's one way to get a little bit different. That makes sense to me. Coming in at 6% util ownership, and he's cheap. Like certainly live to score a touchdown here if he's out there on around 50% of plays running routes on around 45%. So I do actually like Marvin Jones. He's maybe my favorite contrarian option. And then I've seen people in chat asking about Anton Green. So I got to be honest with you, Luffy. I did the lineup generator video earlier today after I'd written my article on the slate, and Antoine Green popped up, and I was like, is this an error? Like, who is this guy? I've never heard of this guy because he's just not running that many routes. So is he viable?
You don't know about Anton Green.
Yeah, I was like, who the hell is Antoine? He's run 8 routes on the year. So like, I guess if you want to play Anton Green, he's a guy that you could consider, but like, he's not one of those guys that you feel good about playing. As I said, 8 routes on the year. He has 1 target on the year. Certainly not confident in playing Antoine Green, but if you're looking for a $200 value option, I suppose he's somebody you can consider.
Favorite receiver not named Amon-Ra St. Brown today?
Christian Watson.
Okay, so you're feeling okay with Christian Watson?
I think so. Like, even if he's not a full go, I think he's going to be targeted heavily when he is out there. Like that's the thing with wide receivers. Sometimes they don't play every snap, but like when they're out there, and he's the kind of alpha receiver that when he's out there, I would expect him to be targeted. And we've got him at 22.5% projected ownership at 8,200. So yeah, I'm going to take my shots on Christian Watson. I think he's a good enough receiver that I'm just willing to take those chances at low ownership.
And you know, it's funny though, because last time we did this show last Thursday, we talked about Ronnie Bell, and there was a lot of like, I remember someone mentioned in the comments or in the chat, they were like, Laffy, the lineup generator is giving me a lot of Ronnie Bell and it's scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And, you know, on one hand, I don't blame you, right? But on the other hand, he ended up scoring, and it was, you know, just one of those dirt cheap plays that I think he was in the winning lineup.
He scored the touchdown, and then he had the deflection that he caught. So he only really had one target in the game, and then he caught a deflected pass. Yeah, that was kind of funny how that worked out. He was only like 10% owned. Like, he didn't end up being all that chalky, but I think it was a huge dupe in that game to win that one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Whew, fun stuff. Also, guys, lineup generator too. If you wanted to get in on that, maybe you're already on Owner's Box or something. $14.99 for the week, and it's just an amazing tool. If you're somebody that's maybe playing single entry 3 max or 20 max, or playing with a limited bankroll, or you don't have a lot of time, or you just want better lineups, I won't run you through the whole spiel. You mostly know about it because we only have 15 minutes. But I promise you, bang for your buck, pound for pound across the industry, there's not a better tool out there, hands down, for sure, undoubtedly. You remember all the MLB wins that we saw every single day doing the shows
I
with
participated
the MLB
in
lineup
those.
generator.
I never won one, but I got third using the lineup generator in just a 20 max. Yeah.
It's awesome. And with Showdown, you can decide like your game script. If you think, like, you can see right there, Jordan's got it on the screen. If you think this is going to be a higher scoring game and soar over the total, you can adjust it. If you think Green Bay is going to outperform their total, you can do that. If you think both of them are going to underperform their total, you can bring it down. And then you can see your exposures to everything once you do it. You can see your stack exposure on main slate, upload them straight to CSV, select the lineups you want, just save them when you get them. Because we're running thousands of lineups, simulating thousands of lineups, and just getting rid of the ones that aren't good behind the scenes. Only giving you plus EV, positive plus EV lineups. You can see what the projected, the optimal projection. You can see how chalky or contrarian they are. Pick the ones you like, save them. It's optimized for your phone as well. I'm telling you, this tool's so cool, man. You can see all your lineups right in there once you save them, all your exposures. Very neat stuff. Main slate, showdown, all that. Link in the description as well. Brian said I just signed up for Owner's Box. Good, man. You'll get an email from us, and you'll get the free week for sure. Jake Hari, Laporta chalk tonight on Owner's Box. Laffy must have made the ownership projections. No, man. I don't like Laporta as much in this game as I did last game. He was still cheap at a terrible position. But yeah, still a lot of overlay over on Owner's Box. Get in there, guys. Get in there. 76% on the one, 82% with 12 minutes to go on the big one, 30K tonight, 6K up top. Laporta and Musgrave. You already mentioned Musgrave might be your favorite captain today. Are you dumpster diving on Brock Wright or any of these other DeGuara or any of these other tight? Let's do this. Are you dumpster diving at all today for some dirt cheap options like an Antoine Green?
So in my second to last crunch, I had gotten some of both Brock Wright and Josiah DeGuara. I think they're fine options. Like, I'm not excited about them. In my latest crunch, though, I didn't get to any. So it'll probably depend on what my final crunch ends up being, whether I actually get to any of these guys. I certainly don't feel good about them. Like, I wouldn't say like, yeah, you should go out and play Brock Wright. Brock Wright has run 17 routes on the year. He has 2 targets on the year. So like, could it happen? Sure. He's a tight end on Showdown. He could score a touchdown. He's cheap enough that it would pay off his price tag. He's viable. As far as who do I like, there's nobody below Marvin Jones that I really am going to be playing at any significant volume. I have, looks like 1 share of Samori Toure right now. I have, looks like 2 shares of Antoine Green, and currently I have 0 shares of Brock Wright and Josiah DeGuara. I think they're all very similar. Like, I think they're all getting really low ownership. They should get really low ownership. They're not going to be out on the field all that often. They're not going to be targeted all that often. So like, none of these guys are great. Like, oh, this is a guy that you should be jamming at low ownership because he's cheap. They're all just like, yeah, I could see him. He'll be out there. Maybe he'll have 1 shot in the end zone, and if he catches it, he's going to pay off the salary. But none of them are guys I feel great about.
How about kickers and defense? We still got 2,200 people watching with us. Appreciate you guys. I want to make sure everyone can get their lineups in time.
Yeah.
What about kickers and defense? Where do you stand on those today? Not from like, are you playing them, but from how much are you getting to them? And since they're kind of like the sweet spot of value, since it gets ugly beneath that.
Yeah, so I'm playing a lot of kickers and defenses today. I'm actually surprised to see, particularly defenses, how little ownership we have projected going to these defenses. We're only projecting the Lions for 18% ownership, the Packers for 15%. At least that's what my fantasy printer is saying. Let me see if that is true in the single game tool when I update it. But either way, it's very low ownership for the defenses, considering how little value we have on this slate. So yeah, I really like the kickers and the defenses on this slate. The ownership seems pretty low to me. I guess we actually, in the single game tool, the Lions defense looks like it's about appropriately owned. We've got them 5% captain ownership, 5% chance to be an optimal, 15% util ownership, 15% chance to be an optimal. So to me, it looks low, but I guess trusting the tools, they're going a little bit, or sorry, they're approximately right on in terms of ownership. The Packers, we have a little bit under owned, 3.5% captain ownership, 4.4% util ownership, 14% util, that's captain, 14% util ownership, 16% chance of being optimal in the util. So we have the Packers a little bit under owned in both the captain and the util. And then the kickers, pretty much always the kickers are among the best value or leverage plays on the slate. And that's true again today. They price them up a little bit. We've got Carlson at 4,600. We've got Patterson at 4,800. So like, they're not as cheap as kickers sometimes are, and as a result, the ownership is still a little bit under where it should be, considering the pricing for all the other players on the slate. So yeah, kickers and defenses are going to be a big part of the way I play today because of the lack of value elsewhere.
All right, so I'm looking at this slate and seeing, based on everything we've discussed throughout the show, that you're not going to get any soft pricing. But one interesting build might be a 5-1. And when I ran the lineup simulator over on our website, just the pre-contest simulator, to see what I was getting before plugging these lineups in, I noticed that some of my lineups at the top were some 5-1 Detroit lineups with 5 Detroit and 1 Packer, like a Christian Watson or something with the run back. And, we've seen those types of lineups solo ship tournaments before.
Yeah.
or real small chops. I know some people don't mind chopping. When you're talking about a milli maker, it's still a ton of money to chop with 20
Sure.
people,
Right.
for sure. But at the same time, if you are looking to get different, what are your thoughts on ways to be different? I understand salary relief, but let's just take that off the table for a second and assume it's going to be really hard to do that. Do you think the 5-1 builds or just any unique captain builds? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so I don't know that those are going to go super low owned today, but they could. I would imagine a Packers onslaught might be a little bit lower owned than a Lions onslaught here, just
Definitely
because the Lions
possible.
have the better players in general. Like I think more people are going to want to play, Amon-Ra with David Montgomery makes it easy. Maybe throw Gibbs in there. So maybe a Packers onslaught would be one way to get different. Doing unique constructions, like I think Jordan Love is the kind of quarterback he's just enough rushing upside that you could consider running him out there naked in the flex. I wouldn't play him naked in the captain spot, but maybe in the flex you could consider it. I don't think that I'm doing. I think I actually didn't allow for it, but it is a way that you could potentially get unique. What one way to get a little bit different. The double running back thing, like I don't think anybody is going to be playing, or not anybody, very few people are going to play Aaron Jones with AJ Dillon, and I don't know that it's a good idea because the price tags are high enough that they really need to get a lot done to pay it off, but it is going to be unique. So like as we're looking for ways to get unique, I think that is one potential way. I like the idea that you suggested of just like doing a full-on onslaught. You could even do a full-on onslaught like 5-1 Detroit with the Packers defense being the only Packers representative, I think is viable. Or the inverse of that. Yeah, I do, because so like in a game where one team blows the other team out, all you would need from the defense, like say it's a 28-0 kind of game, or 31-0, whatever you want it to be, or 31-7, where the only score is a defensive touchdown. Like the defense is probably going to be the one thing that you want from the team that gets blown out. So I do think that it's a viable thing that could potentially work out. I don't know. I think earlier I was actually getting to a couple of those lineups. Yeah, here's one. I have a 5-1 Packers onslaught with the Lions defense being the only Lions representative. I think it's viable. Like if you think that the game could be a blowout. So yeah, it's a tougher slate to get unique on in ways that I think have real chances of winning. And I don't know if you read Justin Freeman's thread this week. So he did a thread on that last mega duped milli maker. I don't remember which one it was, but he said that he actually thought that it was under owned. So actually maybe some plus EV. So it's not all that often, but occasionally there are lineups that are going to be duped many times that, depending on the data that you're using, some people think might be plus EV. And this might be one of those slates where some of the best EV lineups are going to be duped, a significant amount. And you just have to kind of accept it. Not my favorite type of slates, but it does happen from time to time. So maybe if you want to, you could play some lineups that are just going to be duped and accept that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are okay with that. And do you think there's a balance there, though, potentially? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like a balance between
absolutely.
being insane, but also looking at a lineup and going, even if this wins, it's a 1,000-way chop. You know what I mean? There's
Right.
something insane.
Certainly shoot for 30 dupes. Like you're going to still win a lot of
Right.
money. And yeah, I think that there is certainly that kind of balance. It's always hard for all of us, like to know exactly how much an individual lineup is going to be duped. But yeah, certainly I think that it's something to consider. Is maybe this is a slate where you open it up a little bit more, leave a little bit less salary on the table, and just accept, yeah, your lineups are going to be a little bit more duped than usual.
I have one here that's 48,400. So that's
That's
like,
absolutely I mean, that's a lot of my lineups used about that much salary.
yeah. But on this slate, I mean, that's probably as low as I can get at this point.
It's
uh,
tough. It is a tough slate to get to leave much salary.
it's tough for sure. We got 3 minutes to go. We hit 670 likes, Neil. So I trust that we hit 700 by the time this is over. There are 30 people out there that stop it. It's 30. There are 30 people out there that feel like being kind to us today. Lance asked, is 5-1 and leaving salary too much contrarian in a single entry?
I'm doing a lot of that. Not too contrarian at all.
Okay.
I guess in a single
Montgomery.
entry, it's a little bit different. So I'd have to know the field size, but still, I don't think it's too contrarian. No.
Also, we'd have to know what leaving too much salary means.
Right. Yeah. Is it a 30-person field and you're leaving 3,000 on the table? Yeah, it might be too contrarian. Really depends on the variables there.
Yeah, it does. Anything else you got here as I put these lineups in real quick? Can you
Um,
filibuster for me for 1 second?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Packers wide receivers. So I said I like Christian Watson. I think Jaden Reed plays mostly in the slot, is likely to largely retain the role that he has been playing. So I think Jaden Reed looks like a pretty good salary saving option. Like he's not super cheap, but like I think people might assume that he's going to get pushed out of the rotation because we got Watson returning, but they kind of play different roles on the team. I think with the way Jaden Reed has been playing largely in the slot. Christian Watson only played in the slot about 30% last year. I think that Jaden Reed still is going to maintain a pretty good role here and certainly has like long touchdown upside. So I still like Jaden Reed quite a bit. Dontavion Wicks, I think I mentioned earlier, is somebody that like maybe if Christian Watson isn't a full go, Dontavion Wicks maintains a little bit more of the role. He's been out there pretty significant amount for the Packers so far this year. Let me look up the actual routes run for Wicks, but it has been significant. Now that might be completely irrelevant because it might be just we get Christian Watson back replacing it entirely, but 12.6% target share so far this year for Dontavion Wicks on 57% route participation. That's really those numbers are pretty significant. Who knows to what extent Christian Watson comes in and takes it away from him. He could have virtually zero role here. He could maintain more of the role than we're anticipating. So I like Wicks better than, or I think he has a bigger role here, most likely than Samori Toure. Who knows for sure though. So yeah, I think plenty of just ranking the Packers receivers. I would go Watson followed by Dobbs, followed by Reed, followed by Wicks, followed by Toure. I think those are the only viable Packers receivers.
Real quick, we got a super chat. Let's jam it in and get out of here. Luke
Yeah.
Stone, is Jordan Love at captain with 2 pass catchers with the Lions defense and utility viable today? Yes,
love
absolutely.
It. Yes. Yeah. Love that.
100%. Yes. Yeah. You can always do that in shows. Listen, Jordan Love could get picked off and the Lions could take one to the house. There could be a fumble or the Lions take one to the house and the Lions defense looks great. And then they get ahead and Jordan Love has to sling it. So always a viable approach for sure. I have no problem with that approach in 2 or 3 game slates at times,
no, absolutely.
You guys are the best. Hey, follow Neil, I'm going back, man, on Twitter.
All right. Love it.
At player Q DFS, me at Loughran _D, LOUGHY _D. Guitar Z man, what's up, brother? Thanks for being with us, dude. And all you other guys, you're the best. Appreciate it. We'll see you back here. Monday for another one of these?
Yeah, we'll be here.
We'll be here Monday. You'll be here Saturday, strategy show, tournament strategy show, Saturday afternoon. I'll be here tomorrow morning, sim strategy show, NFL week 4, 11 a.m. Eastern. Be there. All right. Thanks to Jordan Klein, as always, for producing this one. We'll see you guys. Good luck tonight. Take something down and hit us up at Stochastic Hall of Fame on Twitter with your screenshot if you're rocking the avatar. Get that free month, baby. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame, stochastic.com/avatar. What better way to get free money when you're finishing top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more? Peace.